Okay, here we are at the regular meeting of the Town Council, Tuesday, August 17th. I apologize for the late start. We were in executive session. But welcome, everyone. Margot, take it away.
Okay, let's see, for the benefit of the public, I will take another roll call. Councilwoman Cotton.
Present.
Councilman Ohms.
Present.
Councilman Foster.
Here.
Councilman Iannacone.
Here.
Councilman Mayer.
Here.
Councilman Silva. Councilman Silva? You're muted, but I see that you're here. And Council President Armington.
Here.
Mr. President, you have a quorum.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. Let's see. Moving into a moment of silence.
Council President, if we may keep in our thoughts and prayers the sister of Billy Byrne, who went under an operation today. Also, can we remember Darrell Mosley, a good friend of mine? I think a number of you knew him, passed away over the weekend, and keep our thoughts and prayers for all the family members entwined in that 3-year-old's death. And for the record, the suspect has turned himself into the Morris County Prosecutor's Office. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you, Mayor. Okay, pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
Flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, before we get started, please be aware that public comment during the public hearing portions of this meeting will be moderated through the Zoom app. At the appropriate time, members of the public wishing to speak should indicate so by raising his or her hand in the app. You will find the raise your hand icon at the bottom left side of your screen. You may also raise your hand by pressing *9 on your phone. When it is your turn, the moderator will send a signal through the app and ask that you unmute yourself so that you may be heard. To unmute yourself on the phone, press *6. There are 6 items on the consent agenda this evening. Is there any one that a member of council would like to pull for separate consideration?
I'm gonna abstain from number 4. I'd make a motion to approve 1, 2, 3, and 5, and 6.
I'll second.
Okay. Councilwoman Cotton.
Yes.
Councilman Ohms.
Yes.
Councilman Foster.
Yes.
Councilman Iannacone.
Yes.
Councilwoman Mayer.
Yes.
Councilman Silva. Having technical difficulties.
We'll move on.
Okay.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Council President Armington.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries on the adoption, on the adoption of item number 4, Cutler Street Block Party 2021. May I have a motion to adopt?
I'll make a motion to adopt.
I'll second.
Okay. Councilwoman Cotton.
Yes.
Councilman Ohms.
Yes.
Councilman Foster.
Yes.
Councilman Iannacone.
Yes.
Councilman Mayer.
Yes.
Councilman Silva.
Yes.
Council President Armington abstains. Motion carries. Okay, at this time, I will open up the floor for a public hearing on any matter. Again, please raise your hand in the Zoom app to indicate that you would like to speak. If you join the meeting via telephone, press *9. Kindly state your name and address and limit your comments to 5 minutes or less. Be advised that any derogatory comments targeting members of council and/or administration may be ruled out of order. No comments were received via email.
Council President, I do not see any hands raised for public comment.
Okay, we will close the public comment period. Move on to skip council responses to public comments. Report of the mayor and town officials.
Thank you, Council President. I'll be as quick as I can. I did receive a few texts today wondering if I was okay. They hadn't seen me on posting in a few days. I've been under the weather. So just remind everybody that COVID Delta variant is real. We've had a number of cases in Morristown. So please protect yourself in wearing a mask and washing your hands often. And stay out of crowds. Saturday, the 24th, Cultural Jam and Art Show hosted Let's Come Together. It was well attended. It was an excellent event. My hat's off to Let's Come Together group. Friday, the 30th, First Meet Me in Morristown was a success. The 31st, Central Biblical's Hope Day community event at Caldwell. Congratulations, Councilman Silva. Wednesday, August 4th, Morristown Rotary Check presentation at Town Hall, $90,000 towards the purchase and installation of the pavilion at Lidford Park. Congratulations, Councilwoman Sandy Mayer. I know how hard you worked going door to door talking about this. Congratulations on that. Saturday, August 7th, Chilling in the Park Music Festival was held at Caldwell Park, hosted by Let's Come Together Again organization. Well done. And Sunday, August 15th, Shade Tree Commission cleanup on non-native invasive plant removal at George Granby Park. Thank you for the Shade Tree Commission. Future events, mark your calendars, August 21st, which is coming up, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Bethesda, see if I get this right. Bethesda, Chapter 7, did I get that right, Jillian?
Bethesda.
Bethesda, got it. Chapter 7, hosting a book bag giveaway at the Bishop Nazareth Way lot. That's Saturday, August 21st, 11 a.m., 2 p.m. Can we make sure that Kristen gets that on web, face, and Instagram?
It has already gone out, Mayor.
All right. Thursday, August 26th. That will be Meet Me in Morristown. They'll mention vendors and music. Saturday, September 4th, noon till 6, Labor Day Jam at Granby Park, hosted by Stephen Tillett and Sandy James. Those who don't know who Stephen is, he used to work at the Nabe House. Sunday, September 5th, Bethel AMA Church Annual Back to School Block Party, backpack giveaway at Bishop Nazareth parking lot. That is Sunday the 5th, 12 to 5. Saturday, September 18th, provided we're still in okay area with COVID, noon till 10, Morristown Jazz and Blues Festival on the Morristown Green. Sunday, October 3rd, mark your calendars, annual Fall Festival on the Green hosted by the partnership. A couple of quick mentions. One is Sam Champy passed away, 40-year volunteer for the Morristown National Little League. He passed away on August 3rd. Sam was the manager of New Jersey Little League championship teams in the 1980s for the Morris National Little League. He also is a veteran and a longtime supporter of the Memorial Day Parade. And like I mentioned in one of my posts, I had the pleasure of not coaching against him, but meeting him, and he's sorely going to be missed. And our sympathies out to his family. Congratulations to the partnership for their $100,000 pledge from the Morris County Board of County Commissioners to help with the rising costs associated with the Morristown Festival on the Green. We can use money too from the commissioners. No? That didn't go over good? All right, I think that's it. I made my comments in the beginning. Again, I can't stress enough this Delta variant. You see what's going on all over the country. Please, hand sanitizers, wash your hands off, wear a mask. I mean, I actually had somebody say something to me in Kings, why do you have a mask on? I said, because I'm more comfortable wearing a mask when there's more people around. So just protect yourself. Just be smart and, and always remember that it's out there. And from what I think Councilman Iannacone can confer, that even if you're vaccinated, you can get the Delta. Am I correct in that assumption?
You are correct.
So let's be smart and be careful. Okay, thank you, Council President.
Thank you, Mayor.
Council President, I'd like to
Yes, sure.
take a brief moment to provide the update on M Station that was requested. So pull up my email. So developers now been out there for, I guess, 6 months now. The building core and shell and the garage are scheduled to be substantially completed Q1 of 2022. And the roundabout work is expected to be completed in third quarter of next year as well. The east building structural work is substantially complete with the mechanical, electrical, plumbing installations throughout the building, which are ongoing. The exterior work is in progress. The terracotta installation will begin in September, so that will make a marked improvement on the exterior of the building. The precast garage structure is installed through the top tier. It seemed like it went up overnight. The interior mechanical, electrical, and plumbing work is ongoing. The green wall, scrim, and elevators will be installed following the completion of the interior work. And the roundabout demolition work has already begun. You've started to see some of the buildings at the corner of Spring and Morris starting to come down. The roundabout work will continue over the next several months and will focus on the stormwater, water, and electric underground utilities installation first. And that will commence sometime early in the fall. I was also provided with a couple of pictures that I'd like to share. So let me do a screenshot for the public who may not be able to get this vantage point. So this is what the site looks like about a week ago. This is from the ground. Let's see. This is the front of the building. They're starting to put in the insulation in anticipation of the terracotta and the glass installation. And then this is a view from the top of the parking garage onto the site that gives you another vantage point of the building. So they are moving right along and they still anticipate to be on schedule to deliver the building to Deloitte by the end of next year.
Julian.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on to council liaison reports.
Morristown Partnership. Morristown, in addition to some of the dates that the mayor mentioned with reference to Festival in the Green, the last meeting with Morristown is actually on the 26th, Thursday, the 26th. You know, that day, the 26th, there's sidewalk sales, and then at night you have the artisanal out, particularly out in front of Vale. The farmers market is going to run until Thanksgiving, so everybody keep in mind that the farmers market at Lot 10 is still there. Only other thing they're reporting is a lot of people in town, or a lot of businesses in town, are having problems finding employees. So if anybody is actually looking for a job and needs a referral to a job, maybe contact the Morristown Partnership. Thank you.
For the Morristown Parking Authority, nothing much to report. Their meeting was today. However, they do have a new director that's going to be starting on August 30th. Her name is Miss Nicole Fox. So just wanted to share that with council members and members of the public.
MHA. Go ahead, Sandy.
Oh, no, go ahead, David. It's fine.
Okay. MHA, on the last meeting, they passed an ordinance with a family self-sufficient program, something very good. It's an educational program. It provides not only this kind of opportunity, but other opportunities for the families living in assisted living. Once they complete the participation and the goals of the program, they will receive a escrow account with a very generous amount of money. And this program is first time that is being done by MHA, and I think that they continue doing a lot of good things on behalf of the people that live at the units in senior buildings and Maynahan Village. That's all from me. Oh, later on we will have 2 resolutions that go along with the RAT program, and of course we will be discussing that at the appropriate time when we vote.
Thank you, David.
So for Shade Tree, first I'd like to, the Friends of Foots Pond asked me to thank the administration, DPW, and the police department for their quick response to the broken footbridge at Foots Pond last month and the quick repair that was done. It was very much appreciated and the park's looking incredible. We're asking everybody to go visit the new Wildflower Meadow along James Street. They installed a meandering path, but it is blocked off right now because our turtles decided to use that path to lay their eggs. So we don't want the eggs to get crushed by people walking over the path. So when the eggs hatch and they go back into the pond, we will open up that meandering path. But it's just a wonderful thing that they adopted it so quickly. Also, an exciting thing is on September 12th, there's going to be a walk around done by Susan Landau to a group of experts, and visitors from other towns, we are being used as an example of the best way to remove invasive species from our parks. So it just shows how much of a leader we are in this area. So again, I want to thank Susan Landau, John Landau, and all the Friends of Foots Ponds for their hard work. And it's wonderful that they're being recognized. So now my Shade Tree Commission report. The Granby Park invasive cleanup was last Sunday. Thanks to all the volunteers and everyone that came out to help, but we're far from done. And again, thanks to the DPW for their help in removing the collected pile of debris. And thanks to Councilwoman Cotton for her help. Once the vines, I'm hoping Councilwoman Cotton can add to my report when I'm done. Thanks to, once the vines were removed, they discovered a lot of new trees under the pile. So this Friday at 2 p.m. at Granby, they're going to be putting down mulch. So, and they need help. They're going to be laying a layer of cardboard and then mulching over it, and that will keep the invasives from growing back in. Deer protectors were installed on all the young trees in the parks throughout town. The 2021 Summer Beautiful Tree Contest is in progress, and anybody can submit your pictures on the website. The fall planting is planned for wards 1 and 2. We're still working out locations for that. Jersey Cottage Park is being updated. We're going to keep everybody updated. Councilwoman Cotton knows a lot about this also. We're remediating the invasive weeds and shrubs by the end of August. We've been asked to, I've been asked to let everybody know that there's a new painting on the wall when you walk in Town Hall for the Shade Tree Commission. It was a beautiful job done by 2 volunteers, Kristen Ate's daughter and a friend of hers, and it's just a beautiful tree, and it has a lot of our awards planted on, posted on that. And also we've been getting a lot of reports of spotted lanternfly in Morristown and the surrounding area. It's a real problem where we talked about putting out a PSA. There has been one listed on our town website for a very long time. The big thing is getting rid of the ailanthus tree, which is also called the tree of heaven. Spotted lanternfly love it. They reproduce on it, and if we can start getting people to get rid of that, it will go a long way in helping on getting rid of this spotted lanternfly, but it's going to be a long, tedious process throughout the country. So, Councilwoman Cotton, do you have anything to add from Sunday for Granby?
Yes, so I just want to say that it was such a wonderful experience. You know, when you first go over there, it looks overwhelming because everything was so overgrown, but we were very thankful for the volunteers who was out on Lincoln Street, who came out to help. We were there for like 3.5 hours, and we found 2 sassafras trees, 1 walnut tree, and some wildflower patches. So we left those. We were very mindful to leave that there. And I'm just excited. We will be meeting again Friday at 2 to put the cardboard down. But you know, we're grateful because we feel like although it was a lot, starting in that particular area in the front of the park, by the parking lot, where the smaller playground area is, we were able to accomplish a lot. So we're really excited about this, and hopefully we can get more volunteers. I'll continue to post as the dates are available because they'll need to be done 3 times a year to get rid of that nutweed. So I'm excited about this going forward, and I'm just looking forward to more volunteers. And unfortunately, I do not have a report for the Environmental Commission. And so hopefully next time I'll have one for you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, if that's it, then we will move on to regular business.
We have 4 ordinances for introduction on the agenda this evening. Ordinance number 021-2021, an ordinance amending and supplementing Chapter 3 of the Morristown Code entitled Police Regulations to add Section 33 entitled Landscaping Equipment and Construction Noise.
I'll move to introduce.
I'll second.
Just for the council's understanding, this policy is currently part of the town code, and it's included in the noise ordinance, the current noise ordinance. At the same time, we're reintroducing the state's model noise ordinance, and the state advised us that the landscaping and construction equipment time frame prohibitions was not permitted in their model ordinance. So they advised us that we could adopt the model ordinance and reintroduce or readopt the time frame restrictions as part of a different non-noise ordinance element of the code. So that's what we're doing.
Okay.
How does the landscaping companies learn about this if this passes? Is it up to them to find out about it, or is it up to us to publicize it?
So this is the existing code that's already in place. We simply had to, because we're introducing the model ordinance, it replaces the existing noise ordinance that's in our code. So we have to add a new section to reflect the construction noise and landscaping noise restrictions that are already in our codes. This is nothing new. It's something that's already in place.
But to answer your question, most of the contractors are aware of the noise ordinance. Sometimes they say they're not, but every time I've gone out and spoken to people, they seem to be very respectful of us. So.
Okay. Thank you.
Call the question.
On the introduction of ordinance O-21-2021, Councilwoman Cotton,
Yes.
Councilman Elms,
Yes.
Councilwoman Foster,
Yes.
Councilman Iannaccone,
Yes.
Councilman Mayor,
Yes.
Councilman Silva,
Yes.
Council President Armington.
Yes.
Ordinance 21-2021 has been introduced properly by title and will be considered further after a public hearing on September 14th. Ordinance number O-22-2021, an ordinance including supplementing Chapter 3 noise of the Code of the Town of Morristown.
I'll make a motion to introduce ordinance number O-22-2021.
I'll second.
Any further comments or questions? On the introduction of ordinance O-22-2021, Councilwoman Cotton,
Yes.
Councilman Elms,
Yes.
Councilman Foster,
Yes.
Councilman Iannaccone,
Yes.
Councilwoman Mayor,
Yes.
Councilman Silva,
Yes.
Council President Armington.
Yes.
Ordinance O-22-2021 has been introduced properly by title and will be considered further after a public hearing on September 15th. Ordinance number O-2021, ordinance amending and supplementing Chapter 11, Parks and Recreation, to add Section 11-4.25 of the Morristown Municipal Code.
I'll make a motion to introduce O-23-2021.
I'll second.
Question, the ordinance says that this applies to all public parks. Can you confirm that this applies to the green as a sort of quasi-public park?
David, can you address that, please?
My understanding is that the green is not a public park within the town, if I'm correct. This would only apply to public parks, if I'm correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, on the introduction of ordinance O-23-2021, Councilwoman Cotton,
Yes.
Councilman Elms,
Yes.
Councilwoman Foster,
Yes.
Councilman Iannaccone,
Yes.
Councilwoman Mayor,
Yes.
Councilman Silva,
Yes.
Council President Armington.
Yes.
Ordinance O-23-2021 has been introduced properly by title and will be considered after a public hearing on September 14th.
There appears to be some background noise. If someone is aware of that, can they either mute themselves or it went away?
I hope it's not coming from me. Ordinance O-24-2021, ordinance amending and supplementing Chapter 13, Housing and Property Maintenance, and Chapter 19, Solid Waste Management.
I'll make a motion to introduce O-24-2021.
I'll second.
A question, Julian. How does the Friday sort of large pickup furniture, all that kind of stuff, is the intent that anything that can fit into a trash can should be put into a trash can, but anything that's bigger than a trash can is okay?
Right. The intent of the ordinance is that any garbage that's in a sealed garbage that's in a garbage bag be placed in a can,
Okay.
so that it doesn't allow, rodent spillage, smells or whatever, if you place in a can. If you're putting something out for bulk pickup, it's not required to be put in a can.
Great, thank you.
So as
And
I
I
was
have
reading,
a
as I was
question.
reading this, I was speaking to Jillian today that it read that when you put your garbage in a can, it has to be in a bag, a sealed bag. But does it specify that everybody has to have cans? Because as I've walked around this town and driven around this town, and I know I've had discussions with Councilwoman Cotton, she sees the same thing, garbage just in bags along streets. So are we making everybody get
Yes.
cans for garbage and recycling?
Correct.
Just
And
garbage?
we did make a small tweak to the ordinance that specifies that all garbage shall be in securely tied plastic bag and placed in a garbage can or other receptacle. So the intent is that you can no longer place a garbage bag on the curb by itself without putting it in a can first. So the ordinance language states that you have to put a bag in a can, and the can has to be placed at the curb.
And will the garbage companies be picking up bags regardless, or?
Yes.
I
Yes.
mean, they're not going to not pick up garbage that's not in a can?
Not unless we direct them not to, but we're really, this
Can
is
I
so.
jump in, Jillian?
Absolutely, Mayor.
We're not going to leave garbage bags on the street for rodents. I have been going out in the morning on garbage days and seeing 30, 40 bags in front of homes. So you clearly there's an issue here, and it's relative to a few issues. But if we may make sure that all the property owners get notified that they need to have cans, because the renters don't know, and the property owners need to have a letter to every property owner in the city, in the town, that says this is the new ordinance, you must abide, and it will be enforced. Is that fine with you, Council President?
Sure.
All right.
I have a question. It's a question / comment. I already heard Mayor saying that owners are going to be notified. However, I have expressed in prior meetings the need of have educational campaigns according to every community within the Morristown community. And I think this is an issue that is part of that.
Yeah, I agree. We'll be putting them out, all the notices in Spanish and English, to make sure that people, and it's going to take a little bit of time. Not everybody's going to get it right away. But definitely we need to let the owners know, because over a period of time, if garbage keeps going out in bags, they will get ticketed. And I think the owners can get ticketed too. Is that correct, Mr. Mancello?
That's correct, Mr. Mayor.
So we're taking this very serious, and we'll get the message out in both Spanish and English.
Mayor, I just wanted to add to that what David was saying about this educational campaign. Now, I'm hoping that we could have, sometimes you need like a photo. I mean, you can't really assume that everybody can read,
Right.
whether it be, so if we can have photos of, what you shouldn't do with a big X with a red circle around it, with the garbage can with the bags piled on top and all around of it. And then beside that, a garbage can closed with the so they kind of, those who can't read, see it. I think
Excellent.
that,
Excellent
to keep
suggestion.
in mind. Thank
Excellent
you.
suggestion.
I appreciate us doing this because it's becoming very unsightly around town with garbage bags piled all over the curbs and them being ripped open and garbage strewn all over the place. It's just unsightly and unhealthy for everybody. So thank you.
All right, call the question.
Okay, on the introduction of ordinance O-24-2021, Councilwoman Cotton,
Yes.
Councilman Elms,
Yes.
Councilman Foster,
Yes.
Councilman Anacone,
Yes.
Councilman Mayor,
Yes.
Councilman Silva,
Yes.
Council President Armington.
Yes.
Ordinance O-24-2021 has been introduced properly by title and will be considered further after a public hearing on September 14th. There are 4 ordinances for public hearing and adoption. Ordinance number O-17-2021, ordinance rescinding ordinance O-29-2014 and deleting a designated handicap parking space on Madison Street from section 7-40.2 of the Code of the Town of Morristown.
I'll make a motion to adopt ordinance number O-17-2021.
I'll second.
At this time, I will open the floor for a public hearing on ordinance O-17-2021.
Council President, I do not see any hands raised for public hearing.
I will close the public hearing.
Any comments or questions from council? On the adoption of ordinance O-17-2021, Councilman Cotton,
Yes. Sorry about that.
Yes.
Councilman Foster,
Yes.
Councilman Anacone,
Yes.
Councilman Mayor,
Yes.
Councilman Silva,
Yes.
Council President Armington.
Yes.
Ordinance 17-2021 is adopted. Ordinance O-18-2021, ordinance approving the application and authorizing the financial agreement for long-term tax exemption by and between the town of Morristown and Morris Street 2015 Urban Renewal LLC.
I'll make a motion to adopt ordinance number O-18-2021.
I'll second.
At this time, I'll open the floor for a public hearing on ordinance O-18-2021.
The first public speaker is Kathy Wilson. Councilwoman Wilson, if you'll unmute yourself and state your name and address to the record, please.
Yes, thank you. Kathy Wilson, 20 Beechwood Drive, Morris Township. So it's always so interesting to me to join another town's meeting and see how you can learn so much from how things are done elsewhere. I'm joining you tonight because I wanted to highlight a few points from an op-ed I wrote that appeared in yesterday's Morristown Green. If you haven't seen it, I hope that you will take a look at it. I wrote that op-ed in part to help people understand how pilots work, and in part to suggest a couple of options for working with pilots that I think are worth considering. I had a number of comments I was going to make tonight. I'm going to save the time and just really cut to the main point, which pilots clearly connect us. A pilot in one town creates tax implications for the other town. I go into detail in explaining some of that in my piece, which I hope you'll take a look at. And my bottom line point is I think it's really important for us to be in touch with each other about pilots. I hope you agree, and I hope we can find ways to make that happen in the future. So that's my main point, and thank you for listening. And I hope we'll be in touch on this in the future. Thank you.
Kathy.
The next public speaker is Sumner Parker. Mr. Parker, if you'd unmute yourself and state your name and address to the record, please.
Good evening. Sumner Parker, 62 Washington Avenue in Morristown. The 30-year property tax exclusion puts more of a burden on the other taxpayers in Morristown, particularly when taxes increase. This project already includes affordable housing. The incremental benefit of additional units does not make up for the loss in revenue to the town. Although for the developer, the new proposal is more lucrative, or else he would not have suggested it. The developer states that a pilot is necessary for them to obtain the necessary rate of return on their investment. However, investment involves risk. The town should not be responsible for seeing that the developer achieves their profit target. Some projects don't always go as planned. I'm sure construction costs are higher due to the pandemic. However, the town should not subsidize this project. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Parker. Council President, I don't see any other hands raised for public comment.
We will close the public hearing comment period for the ordinance and move on to any council comments, questions.
I would just like to say 2 weeks ago or last week when the mayor and I were accepting the check from the Morristown Rotary for the pavilion on Town Hall, Billy Byrne came up to me and thanked me profusely for supporting special needs housing in this town because it's not happened before. So again, I just want to say I do thank Councilman Ianna Cohn and Armington and the administration and the mayor for working out a deal that's just so unique, that's going to help so many people that probably wouldn't have gotten help in another manner. So, and he was very appreciative and thanked me profusely, as he did for all the council members that we voted yes on this.
I'd also like to, I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead,
Councilman.
Toshiba.
No, this was your baby. You can go ahead.
Well, no, I just wanted to comment on Kathy Wilson's comment. She's right, but I think that what we did here was we opened up the discussion and we had the discussion around the pilot. And, initially everybody on this council was a little cool to the idea of another pilot. And this is the first time I'm voting for a pilot. But what we did do is we had an extensive discussion. We involved a lot of people in that discussion. We involved ARC of Morris County. We involved a lot of people, and we got input from a lot of people. And Kathy's correct. We have to extend that conversation to include an active discussion with the Board of Education and an active discussion with Kathy Wilson. And I will say that I think that is the way our administration operates. I have every confidence in the world that we're going to continue to do that. And if we haven't done it in the past, we will be doing it in the future whenever we discuss these pilots going forward. The second thing I'll say is this is a good step for the town. The need for special need housing is tremendous, absolutely tremendous. You have to wait years and years and years, and you really have to wait till a parent's death to get into supportive housing if you're special needs. This is something that's very needed in our town. Our town gratefully is unique to be able to support jobs for people that have special needs. And I do thank the mayor. I think he challenged us on this. We accepted his challenge, and I think we as a council are making the right decision. So.
And I'd just like to add, during the time that I've been serving on the council, not only have I heard the request or the ask for special needs housing, just in daily conversations, whether it's, on the street, at a grocery store, there's been a huge ask, for special needs housing. And so I echo both my council colleagues' sentiments. I think that it's a great opportunity for the town. I think it's great that we're taking such a positive step forward. And so I'm very happy to be in support of this ordinance.
All right, if there are no further comments, Margot?
On the adoption of ordinance O-18-2021, Councilwoman Cotton.
Yes.
Councilman Elms.
Yes.
Councilwoman Foster.
Yes.
Councilman Ianna Cohn.
Yes.
Councilman Mayor.
Yes.
Councilman Silva.
Yes.
Council President Armington.
Yes.
Ordinance 18-2021 is adopted. Ordinance O-19-2021, ordinance amending and supplementing the code of the town of Morristown, Chapter 7 Traffic, Section 40.2, handicap parking on streets for private residences, to rescind ordinance O-2-2020 and reinstate a dedicated handicap parking space for a resident of 31 Western Avenue.
I'll make a motion to adopt ordinance number O-19-2021.
I'll second.
This time I will open the floor for a public hearing on ordinance O-19-2021.
Council President, I don't see any hands raised for public comment.
We will close the public hearing on O-19-2021.
Any council comments or questions? On the adoption of ordinance O-19-2021, Councilwoman Cotton,
Yes.
Councilman Elms,
Yes.
Councilwoman Foster,
Yes.
Councilman Iannacone,
Yes.
Councilman Mayor,
Yes.
Councilman Silva,
Yes.
Council President Armington.
Yes.
Ordinance 19-2021 is adopted. Ordinance number O-20-2021, ordinance amending and supplementing the code of the town of Morristown, Chapter 7, Traffic, Section 37, Loading Zones.
I'll make a motion to adopt ordinance number O-20-2021.
I'll second.
At this time, I'll open the floor for a public hearing on ordinance O-20-2021.
Council President, I don't see any hands raised for public comment.
We will close the public hearing on O-20-2021.
Any council comments or questions?
I have a quick question. So this is going where the 7-Eleven is going to be built. When does this go into effect? Do we wait until the 7-Eleven is built? Because right now that space is a driveway. So how does that, give me the order of how it happens, please. Thank you.
So the applicant, this is part of compliance, resolution compliance for the planning board. So we're implementing it relative to the planning board. With the driveway in place, it wouldn't be enforced clearly. But we wanted to put it into place because they're anxious to get the resolution compliance completed.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
On the adoption of ordinance O-20-2021, Councilwoman Cotton,
Yes.
Councilman Elms,
Yes.
Councilman Foster,
Yes.
Councilman Iannacone,
Yes.
Councilwoman Mayor,
Yes.
Councilman Silva,
Yes.
Council President Armington.
Yes.
Ordinance 20-2021 is adopted. There are 15 resolutions for adoption on tonight's agenda. Are there any that members of council would like to pull for separate consideration?
Margot, can we pull 128, 129, and 130?
Any others? Okay, I would ask for a motion, please, to adopt resolution numbers 131 through 142-2021.
I'll make a motion to adopt resolutions R-131 through 131 through 130.
142.
142.
Oh, Marco, I'm sorry. Can you pull 131? Because I think that's another part of the resolution authority. Was that mentioned, 131?
Okay.
Yes, so I'll revise my motion to adopt resolution R-132 to 142.
I'll second.
Okay, on the adoption of resolution numbers 132 through 142, 2021. Councilwoman Cotton,
Yes.
Councilman Elms,
Yes.
Councilwoman Foster,
Yes.
Councilman Iannacone,
Yes.
Councilwoman Mayor,
Yes.
Councilman Silva,
Yes.
Council President Armington.
Yes.
Motion carries. Excuse me. Resolution R-128, 2021, resolution authorizing hazardous overgrown vegetation, garbage debris, and construction materials from the property located at 31 Hamilton Road, Morristown.
I'll make a motion to adopt resolution R-128, 2021.
I'll second.
Councilman Iannacone?
Yeah, it's very sad that we have to do this, and I want to thank the administration for bringing this on. And the sister ordinance, which resolution that we're seeing tonight with reference to Phoenix Avenue. My concern, though, is, and I agree with what we're doing here, but my concern is how is this done? I don't want it to be something where, we spoke up about these two properties and these two properties are getting the attention. What is the process that we're using to identify these properties and the process to basically work with the property owner to the point where we have to come to the point that we basically have to do a resolution to go in and clean it ourselves?
Councilman, the clean and lean is done as a very, very last resort. I certainly don't think the town should be in the business of maintaining private property under most circumstances. And we use every tool in our toolbox to encourage, demand, require property owners to maintain their properties to our property maintenance standards. However, there are some rare instances where a property owner is not responsive after many months of attempting to bring them to court to get the attention of lien holders, to exhaust all avenues possible. And once we've arrived at a point where all of our other enforcement mechanisms are exhausted, then we consider a clean and lien. Typically, we will only consider a clean and lien on a vacant property where there's not a property owner present. Hamilton Road is a unique circumstance in that the property owner is not capable of taking care of the property on their own and has not been responsive and has not been an active participant in the enforcement process. The other property on Phoenix, which is Resolution 129, is a vacant property. It's been vacant for 2 years. We had made contact with one of the lien holders who made overtures about sending in property maintenance or some other kind of company to maintain the property, but then failed to follow through and has not been responsive for several months. So we find ourselves with properties that are in substantial disrepair as far as the exterior of the property. And we've been getting repeated complaints from the neighbors about overgrown vegetation, dilapidation and things like that. So in the case of 128 Hamilton, that's a bit of a complex situation, but we're hoping to, at the very least, make some impact on the property in the short term, and so we can work with the property owner to resolve his issues. And then in the case of Phoenix, like I said, that's a vacant property. We did have contact with a lien holder that has been non-responsive. We are hoping that with the clean and lien, with the threat of a municipal lien, that the existing lien holder will step up and become responsive and take responsibility for maintaining the property as they're obligated to do. That's the situation we're in with both of these properties. This is not something that we take lightly, and we don't seek to do often, but in these two particular cases, I think that after several months of attempting to exhaust kind of every avenue that we have, we're before you for consideration tonight.
Jillian, if I can follow up, Council President.
Go ahead.
Especially on the one with Hamilton, Councilman Anacone. There's agencies in the state. I've asked Jillian to look into, there's, in fact, a former Morristown resident is the one who works for the state and does this. They go in and assess if the person is not capable of taking care of the home, they will remove that person from that property and put them in a home. Their property then will go up for sale as is. It's a program. It's very successful. The lawyer's out of Mendham. She was a Morristown resident. So I've asked Jillian to make that connection. I don't know if she has yet.
We're working on that, Mayor. We actually got the information today.
So that's one way. That's the correct way to deal with Hamilton. The next problem we'll take internally, Phoenix. I think there's some even harder steps we could take on people who leave their properties in disarray. But we'll talk about that the next meeting.
Again, I think you guys have been very sensitive with the folks from Hamilton. I'm very thankful for that in this process. But I also just want to add that anytime I have referred property that was in disrepair or needed to be maintained better, fortunately for us, the property owner usually does respond when the town does contact them. And I think that I've referred numerous properties to you, Jillian, over the last, year or so, because we've had several issues, and they have responded to the town's efforts, and we're thankful for that. Thank you.
I would like to sort of pipe in here that I'm clearly the adoption of these ordinances, of these resolutions, is in the best interest of the neighbors who live around them. But unfortunately, I believe that the code enforcement rules are designed to provide the adjacent property owners, not the offending property owners, with the understanding of a minimum level of upkeep on their properties. And so the fact that in this case, Hamilton, the owner has not been responsive. I can understand that is a concern. In other areas, such as in my neighborhood, there is one property that has been essentially a disaster for 10, 15 years. In that case, the owner has been responsive, and he has essentially taken, the town, he has basically gone to court every step of the way. He's paid fines. He's, mowed a small part of his front property. The back is a disaster. There are rats. The neighbors can't really sell their property because it's a long-standing hoarder house, and the town has said that in that case, it's not a qualification for the lien and clean. And I can understand that the lien and clean essentially is a loss for the town for all intents and purposes, because you put a lien on a property that may not get sold for 20 years. That's the loss of revenue for the town, and I can understand that. And I'm supportive of the efforts by the neighbors to do that. In the case of 58 Phoenix Avenue, the property is not lived in. There are two shrubs, two massive shrubs, that are shrubs that are almost blocking the walkway to the house. The sidewalk is half overgrown. That is clearly a problem. In my review of 31 Hamilton, some people choose not to keep their properties. There's a bunch of weeds. There's some lightly overgrown. There's some poison ivy. I could show you a dozen properties with that level of unsightliness, in my opinion, around town. But are we in a position of defining the criteria of a nice property? And I think that's where I have a problem, because the town is not working towards the unsightliness of other properties that share the same level of disarray, even though they have been identified by me over the years. So anyway, those are my comments. I'm supportive of the efforts by the neighbors to clean up their property, and I'm glad that the administration is putting their action on these properties. But I will be voting against them on principle, because it seems like the third ward and the second ward don't get the same treatment as the first and fourth ward. So that's my opinion.
Stefan, on that point, though, I just want to mention that in reference to Hamilton, as the mayor was implying, and he's being polite, he's trying to protect people's privacy. But the fact is with that property, the sad thing is that there's an ability issue of being able to maintain the property. The owner of the property is not able to maintain the property for several reasons. And the neighbors have tried to step in. There's other issues in play. Neighbors are supportive. Neighbors were there trying to support, trying to help. It's a very delicate situation. I think what we're doing here is the right move. We're actually trying to help the individual.
And I'm supportive of that. In my case on Mill Street, there was a gentleman who could take care of his property. He chose not to. He had a special needs daughter who he would basically drag to court and use that as a crutch to convince the judge not to impose fines. And that went on for the last 15 years. I think it's slowed down a little bit, but I don't understand the process, and it's always been a point of contention for me. So I appreciate the effort.
Councilman, I'm happy to discuss this further and see if we can better meet your concerns regarding your neighborhood.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Okay, well, I would just like to echo Council President's comments. I'm not really sure if these dilapidated properties are reported just, through residents, or is it, property maintenance that's going out and seeing these properties. But, I would like to, maybe have an offline conversation with you, Jillian, as well as with the council president, to see how we can implement something that, gives us the authority, as the administration, as a town, to just even ride by and just see these dilapidated properties and figure out how we can do some type of enforcement in terms of the property owners, cleaning them up, whether they're lien properties or whether it's just, the property owners just don't have a desire to clean up their properties. But, I do see a lot in the 2nd Ward and the 3rd Ward as well. And so I'm happy to have that conversation with you guys offline as well.
Stefan, do you think this is something where you want to put a committee together? You have two aspects here. You've got just people neglecting their property, but you do have the issue that you're raising, which is how do we make sure that we're enforcing what I'll call the non-social aspects of the enforcement of clean and lean. Do we actually help? Because actually, by setting the guidelines, we probably would be helping administration. If we could put a subcommittee together, and you're right, because none of us want unequal or arbitrary enforcement of this. You want it enforced equally with every property. And again, you do things with a heart, you do things understanding what other factors may be that are involved. But is this something that you think that, despite this evening's actions, is this something in the future you want to maybe work with administration to create some guidelines?
If the administration was supportive, I'd be in favor of that. I think to the administration's credit, the process that has been established, and I think the administration and code enforcement is very responsive at going out and looking at properties and issuing warnings and issuing violations. With them, and then the problem essentially is when respondents don't want to comply, but they know the court system and they know how they can delay the process. I think, given the existing system, the administration's hands are somewhat tied, but I'd be in favor of creating a committee to at least look into if there were any opportunities for improving the system.
I'm welcome to do that.
Thank you. Can I get a couple people interested in supporting me?
I'm interested. Sure. I'll join the subcommittee.
Was that Tawana, were you two?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm interested.
Great.
Absolutely.
Great, wonderful. Thank you. So Tawana, Toshiba, and me.
Yes.
Okay.
Did you want to amend your motion to consider 128 and 129 together?
Sure. I'll make a motion to adopt R128 and R129.
I'll second.
Okay. Councilman Cotton.
Yes.
Okay, Councilman Helms.
I'm slightly confused. So we're gonna kind of table this. So I think
we're not tabling it.
Oh, but you just formed a committee, correct?
Yeah, to look at the broader policy. The committee won't address these particular they won't address any particular properties. They will address look at the entire system of code enforcement, and is there any way to address essentially long-standing violating properties. How can we clean them up without the town actually going in and cleaning them up themselves and putting the burden on the town from the financial perspective? That's the purpose of the committee. These two properties are clearly, at least the 58 is clearly, in my view, clearly in need of attention. So.
And also Hamilton as well. Okay, then in that case, yes.
Okay, Councilwoman Foster.
Yes.
Councilman Iannacone.
Yes.
Councilman Mayor.
Yes.
Councilman Silva.
Yes.
Council President Armington.
No.
Motion carries. Resolution R-130-2021, resolution authorizing the execution of an agreement for payment in lieu of taxes pursuant to NJSA 55:14K-1 at SEC, granting an HMFA tax abatement for Facilitate 31 Early Street, 39 Early Street, and 29 Ann Street in Morristown, New Jersey.
I'll make a motion to adopt R-130-2021.
I'll second.
Councilman?
Jillian, I know that David spent probably half the night reviewing these. Did you confirm if there were any differences from the prior approved agreement?
David.
No, there were no differences.
So, Councilman, if I might, for the benefit of the public,
yes.
Resolutions 130 and 131 are almost essentially redos of a resolution that was approved by this council in February of this year, which is a tax abatement pilot agreement for the Housing Authority relative to the RAD program, which is for the senior buildings and Manahan Village. The original resolution and financial agreement that was adopted by this body in February was for the totality of the project. However, the New Jersey HMFA, which is the body that provides funding for these projects, has come back and said to the Housing Authority that the resolutions need to be and the agreements need to be bifurcated so that you have one resolution for Manahan Village and one resolution for the senior buildings. There were also some minor sort of language specifications that they've requested or required in the resolutions. And so the Housing Authority had requested that this body reintroduce and readopt resolutions which mirror the financial terms that were already agreed to and approved by the governing body in February. It just simply bifurcates the agreements and reflects the resolution language as required by HMFA.
And Jillian, just to be clear for the public's benefit, the pilot agreement provides no tax benefits. Basically, there's no payment in lieu of taxes to the town. There's no taxes that would have been allocated prior from the Housing Authority. Can you just touch on that?
Okay, so as federal public housing property, the property is by right exempt. However, under federal housing law, public housing provides a moderate pilot to the town and has for several decades. I think the last pilot payment that we received from the Housing Authority last year was of the order of like $65,000 plus or minus, and it has been declining every year. It's based on a formula that's set by the federal government. With the RAD agreement that was approved earlier this year, there is a negotiated pilot agreement and a pilot payment that would start at $168,000 with a 2.5% increase in pilot payment every year. That's set in the 30-year payment schedule as laid out before you. So there's with the resolutions that are before you, the one lump sum payment is broken down into two pieces. It allocates a portion of the payment to the senior building and the portion of buildings, and the remainder of the payment to the Manahan Village property. But the total payment to the town would be exactly the same as it was originally agreed to, starting at $168,000 and change, and increasing 2.5% per year over the 30-year term of the agreement.
And to be clear, the prior or current situation is that the Housing Authority doesn't pay anything to the school district?
Correct.
Thank you.
You know, my only concern remains, and I don't have any objection to this, but my only concern remains is that the calculation of the pilot, Jillian, is actually dictated by federal regulations. So we do not have the ability to do any change in negotiation on the actual calculation. Is that correct?
Correct. The pilot schedule as set out is a fixed dollar amount, and that's included in the agreement.
And it's per the federal regulations, because again, here,
Correct.
it doesn't give any consideration to the profit margin that now the private equity and or REITs and or for-profit organizations that are going to basically control the properties. We cannot adjust that rate anytime during that 30-year period, but that is what's required by federal law.
That's correct.
Okay.
But at the same time, the amount of rent that the private, quasi-private entity can charge the residents is fixed with some small increase, right?
Mm-hmm.
That is my understanding. Keith Kennard is the executive director of the Housing Authority. He is in attendance at the meeting. Any specific questions about Housing Authority, he would probably be better served to answer those questions.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Kennard? Council?
Should I ask that question? Well, regarding the resolution 131, should I wait until we're on that one, or could I just ask that question now?
Yeah, you can I, if it pleases the court, I'd like to amend my resolution, my thing to can I adopt resolution R130 and R131? Can I get a second?
I'll second.
I'm sorry, I don't
so
understand.
So now you can ask about 131.
Oh, okay, great. So just for the benefit of the public, I wanted to explain them to know why it says rehabilitate 33 Clyde Potts Drive for any of those who live in Manhattan Village, just so they understand it's not a particular building.
Correct. That is the legal address for the entire property.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Council President Keith. Oh, just stand down. Okay.
All right. If there are no further questions, call the question.
Okay, on the adoption of resolution numbers 130 and 131, 2021, Councilwoman Cotton.
Yes.
Councilman Elms.
Yes.
Councilwoman Foster.
Yes.
Councilman Anacone.
Yes.
Councilwoman Mayer.
Yes.
Councilman Silva.
Yes.
Council President Armington.
Yes.
Resolutions are adopted.
All right, that concludes the regular business. There's no unfinished, there's no new business. Does council have, or administration have anything else they'd like to add?
No, I'm going now.
Okay, goodbye.
Feel better, Mayor.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, listen, you guys rock. That's all I can tell you.
You do too, my favorite mayor.
Now, Jillian, you rock. Your council rocks. Our town attorney rocks. Y'all rock. See.
All right. Motion to adjourn.
Yes.
All
All in favor?
Aye.
Yes.
Good night, everyone.
Great, thank you.
Good night.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.